Thank you for joining one more time here at Intimate Conversations with Men. Today is a very special day. It's a day of movement. And as you know, movement is everything. My guest, Coach Alex VanHouten, is an Oh, thank you. It's an exercise scientist. Imagine that. I love that already. Faith-based health coach and founder of Faithful Fitness. Is anybody there faithful to your fitness? A movement, like I said, helping men steward their bodies as an act of obedience to God. Oh, I have so many questions already, Coach Alex. With over 20 years of experience and shaped through his personal struggle with a painful genetic disorder, Alex integrates physiology, behavior science, and biblical truths to help men break cycles of inconsistency and build disciplined, purpose-driven lives. His work sits at the intersection of faith and function, where spiritual formation and physical stewardship are no longer separate conversations. Imagine that, one conversation and all. He is a host of the Faithful Fitness. He has his own podcast. And author of Faithful Fitness, a 40-day devotion for Christian health and stewardship, equipped men to grow in strength, clarity, conviction in every area of life. Ooh, I love that. Alex lives with his wife, Christine, and there's 2 sons committed to raising men of strength, humility, and faith. Let's welcome this special guest, Alex.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Elena. I'm really excited about this conversation.
Me too. I am. Thank you for being here, first of all, and thank you for the determination of raising 2 sons with strength and faith. And we definitely need those kind of parents a lot. Fathers, I meant to say.
I'm doing my best.
Alex, I could not help it but notice it in your bio and in yourself that you have been challenged yourself with some generic condition, I might say. Mm-hmm. And you tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so my journey as an exercise scientist actually started with dealing with my own injuries and issues back even when I was an adolescent. And so at the time, I didn't know I had a genetic disorder, but I would do athletic things and I would train just like my friends in track practice or in wrestling or in martial arts. And I would always end up with some sort of joint-related issue. My hips, my knees, my back, my shoulders, my wrists. And they were issues that other people weren't dealing with. They would slide and grind and pop out of place, and they'd always seemed to get better over time. But I had to rehabilitate myself, and so that journey of learning how to be injured and then get back to the exercises that I appreciated or the games that I liked to play and deal with the pain in the process. That's really what forged this whole path of becoming an exercise scientist. And it wasn't actually until later, about 10 years into training people, that I learned about my own genetic disorder that explained a lot of the things that I was wrestling with. And that disorder is called Ehlers-Danlos. Ehlers-Danlos is a difficulty in the body of synthesizing collagen. It can affect tendons and ligaments. It can affect cardiac tissue. It can affect the digestive system. And so many of the things that I had wrestled with made a lot of sense after I understood what was happening in my body. And, well, I didn't have an opportunity for excuses because I had wrestled with it for 10 years. So that's what I love about that is it taught me how to help myself, and I could help others in the process. And then actually being able to put a name to it made it possible for me to start taking steps to help myself and eventually my children.
What makes you perceive that pain was actually helpful to you to get back, or learning through pain?
Well, pain is a lot of times pain gets a bad rap, and I'm not saying it's enjoyable. I'm not one of those people. but pain is a teacher. So our body uses pain to teach us what isn't good, right? So for instance, if I get stung by a bee, you ever gotten a bee sting? That's really painful, right? Like, ow.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, they're like this big, like, look out. So you get stung by a bee, right? And what happens? Well, it's an intense pain, and it teaches your mind and your body, wow, bees are painful. Bees are dangerous. Watch out for bees, right? And unless you're allergic, bees aren't mortally dangerous. They're not going to kill you with one bee sting, but man, it's painful, right? And in the same way, when you exercise, your body can tell you, hey, this is really hurting your knee, and that's a signal. It doesn't mean you don't exercise. It's just teaching you what is appropriate for your joints, what's appropriate for your tendons and ligaments. And for me, pain has been a great teacher. I don't like pain. I don't enjoy pain. I don't wish it on anybody at all. But pain can teach me what not to do with myself. And if I'm willing to keep visiting the thing, kind of like Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail at making a light bulb thousands of times. I just learned thousands of ways not to make a light bulb. And pain can be a similar teacher.
So to summarize what you just said is many people see pain different. The way you see it is pain is a feedback mechanism that is guiding you. And it's actually your partner that is guiding you on what way to take or not to take. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yep, that's exactly right. And if you're going to see pain that way, the biggest thing you need is endurance and courage, because pain's not easy to deal with. And so in my experience, many people will avoid pain. And in many cases, it's actually facing pain head on and understanding. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Is it maintaining? And that those pain signals can actually teach us a lot about what the right way for us to move is.
Tell me about endurance and courage.
Yeah, so endurance is just that capacity to keep going when things get difficult. Right. So at a physiological level, it just means that when my cells start to run out of energy, they have other pathways to get more energy. Right. That's at the most basic level. That's what endurance is. But from a mindset perspective, endurance is saying, I'm going to get knocked down 7 times, but I'm going to get up 8. I don't get to give up. Right. And that is a very powerful and important trait to exercise. And if you don't have much endurance, it's okay. That's something you can build and grow in yourself. And so we see that in exercise science pretty frequently. It actually doesn't take a whole lot of effort on a regular basis to build endurance right into every cell of your body. And then the courage aspect is, pain's scary. You know, when little kids fall down and scrape their knee, what's the first thing they do? even before it hurts, even before the pain hits them, it's scary, right? I have a 7-year-old son, and he was riding his bike and he just crashed, just scraped himself all up, and he gets up and he's like, I'm okay, and he hops on his bike, and he's a tough dude. He rides up to me and he's got blood coming out of his knee. And he looks down and he sees his knee and he goes, and he starts to cry. So, because it's scary. It's not just that it hurts. It's that pain is scary. We feel like it's going to get worse. We're concerned that it'll never stop, right? And so it takes courage to face pain, because if we hurt, it's scary. And courage is not a lack of fear. It's being afraid, but stepping into that fear anyway.
Oh, I love that. May I ask, when your son fell, he saw the blood and started crying, what do you do? How do you handle that, Alex?
As a dad, I always want him to know, hey, you're okay. So I'll say, hey, buddy, you're okay. Look at it. It's just a scrape. We're going to go take care of it. We're going to wash it up and stuff. Give me a hug, man. And for a child, when they're in pain, sometimes regulating their nervous system with your own nervous system is the best call. So we have these cool receptors on our body that when we feel touch, it actually overrides the pain a little bit. So I don't know if you've ever bumped your head on something. Whack! Ow! You can kind of rub around here.
And
That's
my
it all the time.
that's my favorite thing of remind me thing. So yes.
When you bump your head, you can actually rub the area around it, and it decreases the amount of pain that you feel. So it's actually comforting to have some touch in conjunction with the pain, not right on the wound. You don't rub the wound, you just rub around it, right? So anyway, as a dad, I want to comfort him. I want him to know he's okay. I want him to know that there's something we can do about this pain and that he's not alone in it.
This is very interesting you said that, because a couple of days ago, I personally fell, which sometimes I'm surprised why I'm still doing that, because I'm not 5. And, the first thing is I was wearing pants. I checked my knee because I landed primarily in my knee.
Ow.
And I said, I'm okay. And I kept going. I was going to an appointment. When I got to my appointment, I realized that I have a big scratch here. It was peeled. It was still with blood. That's when I said, no, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. I'm bleeding.
Yes. It is so true. Wow. Thank you for that. Okay, so I want to ask you more questions about that, because I'm sure I am not the only individual who experiences pain. Mm-hmm. So when any of us adults, not kids, because sometimes we learn things things through our parents, but also through our little friends, and they don't know better, right?
Right.
As an adult, when something like that happens, because I'm also not the only one failing or bleeding. So what do you say will be the better thing to do to handle that pain at that moment in the body?
Well, the first thing that adults need to know about pain is acknowledging that it's there.
Okay.
Is actually an important step. So for adults, what we often do, and we do this with emotional pain too. It's not just physical pain. It's acknowledging that it's there, right? Many times as adults, what we want to do is act like it doesn't exist. Like we want to shove it down, we want to tamp it down, move it to the side. I don't have time for this pain right now, right? So if I fall on the ground and I scrape my arm and my leg, my knee jerk is to do the same thing you did. Go on with my day. Like, I'm fine, whatever, move on.
Yeah.
Only my pride hurts a little bit. That's all, right?
And if somebody saw, right? Especially.
True that. You're like, I'm fine. Stupid sidewalk, whatever.
It got in my way.
So as an adult, we have to acknowledge our pain. And this is actually what they teach in trauma therapy as well. And it's extremely important. It's to acknowledge what happened. I fell down, I scraped my arm, I'm bleeding, it hurts, right? And I know it sounds dumb, but those are very important things to acknowledge. And the same thing, if I'm having a bad day with regard to my own physical pain in Ehlers-Danlos, I have to be able to acknowledge it. Ow, my back really hurts right now. And I'm having a hard time putting my own shoes on. Or my ankle is not allowing me to walk on it today. Like, I need to acknowledge those things. Now, that's step one. I need to acknowledge it. And that gives me an opportunity. If I can acknowledge it to myself, I can acknowledge it to other people. Not in a complaining victim mindset way, but just stating the reality of life. I'm in pain. And that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that. And then step 2 is a little harder. So if you can't acknowledge it, you got to start there. But step 2 is a decision about what you're going to do with that. Mm-hmm. And this is very subjective because the way that you walk forward in your day with courage and the way that you walk forward in your day with endurance might not be the same way I need to walk forward in my day with courage and endurance, right? But I am the only one who's living with the pain and has to decide what to do with it. Nobody else can tell me what to do about that. And so for instance, if I I don't know, this weird thing in Ehlers-Danlos, I can just wake up and be like, I don't know how, but I injured myself in my sleep. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever woken up like and been like, ow, like, what did I do? I don't even have a cool story for why I'm in pain right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
When I see a man with a bruise, I said, give me a good story. At least give me a good story.
Yeah. Did you fight a bear? Yeah. So I wake up and I say, wow, I'm in a lot of pain today. Like my back really hurts. I'm in a lot of pain today. I acknowledge it. And I have to decide what to do about it. I have client sessions that I intend to train through. I have things that I want to do with my sons. I have, maybe my wife wants me to get in the attic and carry some stuff down. And I have to decide, okay, is this the kind of pain where I can move through it okay? I just have to be careful. Or is this the kind of pain where I need to start changing my plans? Right.
Oh.
And this decision is really important because for me with Ehlers-Danlos, there are many individuals who find themselves hooked on pain medications, and that alters the way their mind works, that alters the way their body works. And personally for me, I like to keep that as minimal as possible because I would like to maintain my capacity to make decisions about what I'm going to do with this pain, right? And so that's the step 2 is being, after I've acknowledged it, I need to make some decisions about how I'm going to face this today. And if anything needs to change about what I've planned, or if anything needs to change about my attitude, and that leads me then finally to step 3 is my emotional attitude about this pain. Because especially for men, guilty, we tend to face pain with anger, right? So if I'm in pain, I'm more likely to be irritable. If I'm in pain, I'm going to be angry about it. If I'm in pain, I'm more likely to lose my temper about certain things that wouldn't bother me. And so this step 3, after I've acknowledged my pain, after I've decided how I'm going to face this today, then in step 3 here, I can take an emotional posture to that, right? I can actually treat myself with kindness. I can actually have some grace. I can ask for patience from the people around me, and I can do that in a way that doesn't make me a victim, right? Because I'm facing my pain courageously here. I can do that in a way that doesn't make me a victim, and so I'm not asking anybody for pity. I'm not asking anybody for their I don't know, what's the word? I think pity is the one. When you wrestle with pain, you don't want people's pity. That's not what you want. You want other people just to understand your reality so that you can continue being the best version of you that you can be today. And so that's number 3 is being able to choose your emotional disposition toward the pain today.
Alex, you brought some great points there, and I'm just curious. I know you're not a psychologist, but within yourself, what is the psychology, or what goes in your mind? And you're right. I perceive in my life, the men in my life, that when they get sick, it's really hard to handle pain, not because they cannot tolerate the pain. It's because it's like if they don't want nobody to see him in pain or in need. And I'm curious. So the reason why I create this space is to learn more, right? Because by learning, we can support our men and we can be there, or do better, right? What is the psychology? Let's say that on a good day or on a bad day, and a day you're not really feeling well. And like I said, when men get sick, they really get angry, but at the same time, they're like little kids, right? And I could, again, my experience, the men in my life, and more specifically to adults, right? So it's just like I have already that expectation. But what goes in the mind of a man when he's not able to be in there 100%? Because there is something in the back of their mind that says, my purpose is part of my purpose is to protect. And when they are not able to do that, what happens in the mind?
That's a great question. So men tend to derive what their self-worth is from what they're capable of doing.
Oh.
So the psychology of a man is, I can fix things, I can run fast, I can fight bears, women love me, right? Like these are all the things that a man derives his self-worth from, right? And so if I see that I cannot accomplish something, or I see that I cannot do something, the psychology for a man is to become depressed, and also combative and defensive, right? So this is important with regard to the pain conversation, because if I derive my worth as an individual from what I'm capable of doing, then pain directly disrupts my own worth.
Correct.
Right? Pain automatically says, hey, you're in pain, so you're worth less. Not worthless, but worth less. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to a good place now, because I have many questions. But before I ask many questions, I don't want to forget to ask this. In your bio, you use the word man. When you use the word man, you refer as a mankind, or you only help a man with your coaching?
Yeah, great question. So I get to work with men and women in Faithful Fitness. For the purpose of your podcast, it's important that your audience knows that my primary work from a faith-based health coach perspective is with men.
Excellent.
My primary work with exercise science actually happens to be with women. So I get to work in birth yoga. Well,
Okay.
it's been my experience in the training world that women are faster to ask for help. And so I have found that as a coach, I have found that women are more willing to let me help them from an exercise perspective. And I work with men when they're ready, but they like to figure it out the hard way sometimes.
I have so many questions and my mind is running wild, so I'm going to try to be very
Okay, that's okay.
very crafted in each question. And I usually ask the question about all those men who are great on paper, those leaders that are in a lot of pain. Now, because we are specifically, you and I, having a conversation of the body, right? The pain sometimes doesn't refer up. They feel broken, they feel hurt, they're in a lot of pain. But a lot of that is also physical. So I as you were describing men and pain, I went back to the movie Forrest Gump, and I remember how sometimes parents overprotect kids. They're are born with I'm going to call it a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And then when you said worthless, when you were talking about that, and that challenge. And I'm just going to say it, and then I want you to give me your opinion. And that challenge, they don't get to be like whatever normal is, a normal kid of playing and all of that. Again, this just is a movie, but I can see how that reflects into life and truth and a real story. And overprotect those kids instead of trying to help them to be a normal, whatever that means, and develop their doing, right? As a man, develop their doing. As you said, they measure themselves about what they're able to do. So with regards to that specific case, let's say there is a mother and a father right now. They have a kid born with a physical challenge. With regards to playing and exercising with the other kids, what is that in your experience? We're going to start with kids and then we're going to go up to men, okay? And specifically, we're going to talk about men. With the life of that boy that is restricted by not just the illness, but the overprotection of the parents sometimes, what words would you use to parents like that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This might be a very deeply opinionated response, but I think it's important. One of the things that we find in the psychological community is that mothers and fathers have different roles in boys' lives, right? A mother cannot teach a boy how to be a man because she's not one. So no matter what mom does, I was raised in a single parent home. My mom did her best with 4 kids, and my mom did a wonderful job of nurturing. She did a wonderful job of teaching. She did a wonderful job of of modeling what discipline looks like and what love looks like. She did that very well for us. But my mom couldn't teach me how to be a man. She couldn't teach me what it looks like for a man to approach challenges and to deal with those things in the way that a man can. And so what my mom did is she put me in the vicinity of men who were pursuing different challenges. And so actually kickboxing was the first way that I connected with men in any meaningful way outside of not having a father in the home. And so I learned, how to fight and how to wrestle and what it looks like for men to genuinely love each other, to give big hugs and to challenge each other, that sort of thing, have fun. I was young. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, right? And something that I learned, and this was a story in my life. I was in a kickboxing match, right? In kickboxing, you put gloves on, you put headgear on, you get into the ring, and you fight. Like, and the point is to beat each other up. That's the sport. You score points by getting through the guard and kicking him in the face and ducking and hitting in the guts and stuff, right? That's how you win. Yeah, that's how you win kickboxing. So just before I went into the ring, my mom said, "Don't hurt the boy, Alex." That's what she said to me. So, I'm trying to make my mom happy, and I get beat up. Like, I just get trashed because I'm trying not to hurt the kid, right? And I mean, he's a little bigger than me. I don't know what she's worried about. Like, he's a little bigger than me, and I'm just getting beat up, man. And I'm 10 years old, and I'm getting beat up. And I go back to my mom after the round's over, and I'm crying, and I'm frustrated. I just got beat up and I'm frustrated. And she looks at me and she goes, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I'm trying not to hurt him. I don't know how to punch somebody and not hurt him." And she goes, "Don't listen to me anymore. Go talk to your sensei." And so I went and talked to my sensei, and my sensei wasn't the least bit worried about me hurting the other boy. That's his problem. He's got to keep his guard up. He said, "Hey, you're getting hit in the face with a right hook. Dodge that and come in with a right cross." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I did that, and I mopped the floor with this kid, and I was all excited and happy. And what's cool is in kickboxing, this might sound weird in the ladies' world, but in kickboxing, once you beat each other up and the round's over, you give each other a hug, and you're closer friends than anybody else. So you know somebody intimately when you fight with them. And so I beat this kid up, and we're friends now. We get to spar for the rest of the next couple of years. And what I learned is that the father's job is to create the space for a boy to explore difficulty without it being too dangerous. So if I'm fighting a 30-year-old man as a 10-year-old boy, that's dangerous. I'm going to get punched in the cheek and, injure myself in a way that I can't recover from. But another 10-year-old boy is not going to do too much damage. So 2 boys with supervised fighting and safety gear, this is a safe space to explore difficulty and challenge without mortal injury. And the same thing goes. I'm raising my boys. When I let my 6-year-old get on the monkey bars, I'm not worried about him. The fall's 2 feet. So I'm around, but I'm watching him, and he's not going to get hurt too bad. My 2-year-old wants to try the monkey bars. Well, that's a long fall. So I'm going to pick him up and let him be there. And I've got my hands here, but I'm going to let him figure it out and then catch him. And that's dad's job. And so flipping the script, mom's job is to let dad figure that out.
Oh, I love that.
Mom's job is to let dad create the space for difficulty and challenge while also helping dad learn what the thresholds are for injury. So something my wife does really well in our house is when she sees something, she's like, "Ooh, I don't know, I'm worried about that." She just kind of goes somewhere else. So we can go. Yes, just let us do some of the dangerous, challenging things, and not that I'd ever intentionally put my sons in mortal danger, but sometimes there are things that moms see could go wrong, and they're concerned about that, and that's okay. But boys have to be allowed to go explore those difficult things. And so if I'm a child who's developmentally challenged in some form or fashion, that doesn't change for me. It just changes the atmosphere around what is injurious and what is appropriately challenging. And that's Dad's job.
I love what you said. Again, in my exploration about learning from newborn boy, which I have a new godson, by the way.
Oh, congratulations.
3.5 months old. I just met him a week ago, and I am so inspired. He actually tried to have a conversation with me, which makes me so happy.
Many more to come.
Exactly. I can wait to have you. I told him I can wait to have you on my podcast, and he's beautiful, beautiful boy. Thank you for saying that, and this is very interesting because now that you said that, I cannot help it but keep continuing that. So I have learned what you said. Mom's job is the being. Dad's job is the doing, and it's important to learning to help them learn the obstacles, especially because all of that will reflect on what they do with their life, meaning professionally. I also learned that when a mother, and I want you to elaborate on this, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of, give you a little bit of bacon, and you give me all the meat on this, okay?
Okay.
And I love bacon. When a mother is raising a kid, especially a boy, we want to focus on boys. When a mother is raising a boy, and I hear this in many places, by the way, and the boy doesn't have a father who is going to challenge him and help him doing to bring those kids into sports. Some mothers, while we could be worried about, oh, my kid is going to be hurt, and I am working, and I am the only one who brings the money, and I'm not going to be able to take care of my kid. Or if there is a kid who was born with a challenge, it's even more, right? So what would you say to that, Alex?
I would say that I would applaud mothers who are raising their sons and struggling to find the right leadership and male presence in their sons' lives, because it's worth the fight. So don't stop trying to find that right place. And I would also say that sports are not the only place that you can find that. So you can, sports are wonderful. You might find some good male coaches, martial arts instructors, or soccer coaches, or football coaches. You might find some good coaches that really pour into their children that way. And in the same way, you can find some coaches that turn sports into their own idol, which is not something you want your kid to learn, is to find their identity in a sport. And so, but you can also find the spirit of the Father in other places. You can find the spirit of the Father in a religious setting. So, for instance, my wife and I, we run a children's ministry at our church, and it's very important to us that when kids come to our church, they encounter fun. We play kickball, and we throw frisbees, and we play Uno. We do all the stuff, and it requires the Spirit of the Father. I say that in quotations, the Spirit of the Father, the capability of bringing a good environment of encouraging play to a situation. Because you can play Uno in a way that everybody loses, You can play a card game where everybody's mad at each other and nobody follows the rules, and that's not any fun. But you can play Uno or chess, or these board games, or building forts, or wrestling, or whatever it is. You can do that in a way that's encouraging and good for everybody. So you can counter that in other places too. And what I would say to mothers is be on the lookout for places where children are safe to play. And that's where you're going. And if there's a place where a child is safe to play, the Spirit of the Father is there somewhere. Like, there might be a guy who's watching the playground and making sure everybody's doing okay. There might be men who are actively planning games for kids at church. There might be a coach on the field who's coaching the football team. If there's a place where children are safe to play, that's a good place to find the Spirit of the Father.
I love that question. Thank you. Thank you for that, Alex, because definitely there's a challenge, right? To especially for the kid, because they might feel the absence of the father. But now I'm going to shift into different kind of questions. And I am very curious to know what make you create a faithful fitness.
Yeah, it's been a journey and a project for me. I actually spent several years in my early adulthood as an atheist. So somebody who championed the rationality of science over faith. I saw it as kind of superstition, if nothing else, and that changed for me. There was a time in my life where God showed Himself to me as both real, and it was necessary for faith to be a guiding principle in my life, even and above rationality at times. And so I had always been an athlete. I'd always been somebody who worked through my own pain and difficulty with exercise. And I was practicing that, but I wasn't sure exactly where my faith fit in. And so the process of integrating those two things was a process that I had to go through. And then what I noticed is, as I was coaching my clients, many of the times that I would give them exercise or nutrition practice to move forward in, there were times that they didn't do the things they know were good for them. And the question was, why?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about our belief system? What is it about the things we think we know about ourselves that impact us and change our decisions about our health and our fitness? I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm working with a client, and this is real life. I did this last week. Let's say I'm working with a client who has type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. Type 2 diabetes means my body does not regulate blood sugar very well. Mm-hmm. If my body does not regulate blood sugar very well, I shouldn't eat sweets. I just shouldn't. It's going to be hard on me. It's going to cause damage to my capillaries. It could make me go blind. It could make me feel terrible. I could end up in a coma if I eat too much sugar, right? But this client, having type 2 diabetes, eats 4 servings of cookies on Monday afternoon. Why? What the heck's going on there? I know cookies are basically poison to me, but I'm eating them anyway. And if you ask, why are you eating those cookies? Well, it was just one of those days. I had a bad day, and I wanted some cookies. And
I can understand that.
Right. And emotional eating is a real thing. Most of us could relate to what it looks like to bury our emotions in sugar, right? But you have to ask, what do you believe about yourself in order to eat cookies that you know could kill you? What do you have to believe about yourself for that to be the case, right? What is your faith like? That's really the deeper questions. And I can tell this client from a nutrition and exercise perspective in science, hey, you have type 2 diabetes. These have 50 grams of sugar. You don't need to eat those. I could tell a client that, and they can understand it. But whether or not they're going to act on it, whether or not it's a part of who they are, and they understand what they're doing in their day because of what they believe, that's a completely different question. And so faithful fitness is an attempt to take our belief systems and combine those with our actions in our bodies. We say that we work to help people make the most out of the body God's given them. And so that's the underlying structure of faithful fitness.
Oh, I love that. Well, sometimes I guess we don't see things that we eat as something that is going to hurt us that bad, because it's giving us pleasure, right? It's giving us pleasure to put that in our mouth. So we don't measure the pain that it's going to give us also. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Since we're getting it on this and this and this part, there's a lot of challenges here. What happens when some individual has a different the religious belief or not religious belief? Do you perceive to be challenging to help those individuals?
No, for myself, I always tell them, hey, look, many of the things that I I believe at a deeper level are from a Christian ethos. So I will reference the Bible regularly. I believe in Jesus's teachings. And I believe that regardless of your faith background or understanding of those things, they can still teach you deep things. Kind of like, what's your favorite movie and why? If you have a favorite movie, you understand that there are stories that inform your life and that captivate your attention and that you can move forward with. Like you bringing up Forrest Gump just a little bit ago, right, is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And similarly, I want them to know where I'm coming from and that I'm not pushing that on anybody. But at the same time, I want them to understand that if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, then I don't know how else to explain it. At the same time, it's important to me for my clients to understand that the science doesn't change. The way I believe it is that God made the world and that we explore the world through science.
Yeah.
And that's actually a faith-based process, by the way. That's what science does. We make a hypothesis. We think this is going to happen this way. And then we have the faith to run the experiment. And then we have the honesty to look at the results and say, what actually is? That's truth, right? So faith leads the process, rationality examines the process, and then truth is what emerges as a result, right? And the same thing goes in your journey with your body. I can tell you, Elena, that squats are good for your legs. You can go, yeah, that sounds right. I believe squats are good for my legs. And I can even explain to you the proper form to do a squat so that there's not so much pain in your knees and so that you bypass the issues with your ankles. And so you use your butt and your glute muscles get to fire, right? I can tell you those things. But until you and I actually do some squats, nothing changes, right? So regardless of your belief system, the faith to do something, the faith to actually practice it, and then the rationality to examine and say, okay, how did that go? What was the result? Is there anything that needs to change? Regardless of your faith background, your faith and rationality are going to have to work together to put the science into practice.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was perfect. In this moment, there's probably many individuals listening or not. Well, not right. We're recording this, but thinking, I was not given the opportunity to exercise because I was born with a specific condition, illness, syndrome, or challenge. And it doesn't allow me to exercise. And we're talking about adults. And there's nothing else I can do. I was told that I have this condition, and it's terrifying to think about me finding the right person because I don't know how and who is going to understand. So the first question I have is, how do you evaluate every situation, or do you evaluate every single situation since we have different challenges, right?
That's a great question. When I work with individuals, I always have a set of questions that I ask to understand their story. And really, it's that simple. Tell me your story. How'd you get here? And people will tell me. They will tell me things like, my doctor told me I'll never run again. Or they'll tell me things like, I wrestle with pain every day. Or they'll tell me things like I really messed up my shoulder and I'm pretty sure it's beyond help, something like that. So they'll tell me what the issue is.
Correct.
And then I have to ask, what would you like to see happen? And that's an interesting question because if I can look at the challenge and I can say, I would really like to see this happen. I'd really like to see this change. Then my job as a coach is to take what I understand about the science and encourage my client in the direction of the thing they see as possible. Right? And for me, I love that process. I think it's an amazing process. And I have yet to meet anybody who couldn't get better. One of my most challenged clients that I ever worked with, our work together was mostly in a recliner. He didn't generally move from this position. And we did recliner-based exercises for his arms. We did recliner-based exercises for his legs. And he even got to where he could stand up and walk without pain for 400 yards, which is a really big deal because up until we started working together, he hadn't left his house in 7 years. So I believe that no matter who you are or where you're starting, you can get better if you're willing to try. That's how the body works. But it's a question of understanding what's the next step need to look like. And that's my job.
For individuals, specifically with challenge, let's continue specifically speak about challenges. There are scared. That are scared to see nobody's going to understand my pain. Nobody is going to really, truly understand how I feel. What makes you the right coach?
For me, I can't always say I understand how you feel. But what I can say is by hearing your story, I can develop compassion and love for where you're at. Because there was a time in my life where I was told I'll never run again. There are times in my life where I've been in so much pain, I would rather just not be here anymore. There are times in my life where I didn't know how I was going to be there for the people around me and wasn't sure what my value was at all because of the condition of my body or how I felt in it. And so for me, I really resonate with that difficulty because I understand what that feels like. And I also want whoever is listening who's in that position to know you don't get to give up. You're valuable and you matter. You're here on purpose for a purpose. And if we can keep that in our hearts and our minds, then we'll just take it one day at a time.
If there's an individual in that situation and thinks that you're amazing, but I don't know if I can do that. Even with the example of the individual on the couch, I still don't know. My condition could be different, or I have really not exercised in a long time, or I have never exercised. And I don't know if really I'm capable because, the number one thing that stops us or makes us move is fear. The number one emotion, right? So how do we actually go in compromise or marry to the idea that I am different? If we go back to the reference in the movie Forrest Gump, what made difference is that somewhere along the line, he believed in himself more than his mom did, right? And he was, and the first time he broke through those obstacles in the legs was because the girl was saying run, right? So there's always a voice, or either regardless if it's exterior or our own voice, who's going to make the difference. So I've never done exercise. It is going to be very difficult. It's going to be painful. I don't know. He sounds great, but my condition probably is different. What would you say to that?
I would say it's less about having faith in me as a coach and more about having faith in yourself that you're not done yet. For me, that's a faith in God thing. If I was done here on this earth, if I had nothing left that I needed to do, nothing else to pursue, then in my mind, I'd be in heaven. I'd be done. I'm out. And so what I often say in my work and what I often say in our community and even to some of my clients, be faithful because God's not done with you yet. And so we're going to make the most out of whatever time we have left. And if that's your attitude, then I'm the coach who has compassion for that. But if that's not your attitude, I can't give that to you. You have to believe you're not done yet.
And I specifically asked this question because, as you said earlier, the doing, when they don't feel like they can do anything, it's also going to a depression, right? They are in a state of depression where they might think, this is so painful, I don't know what to do, that maybe exiting this life will be the best option, right? They get to that specific set. So let's give me another shot. This person is extremely depressed, not just thinking I can't do it, but it's extremely depressed and ready to take it to the next level.
This is an important question to me, and it's going to be hard not to be emotional about it. But I lost my brother to suicide on December 6th of last year. So he's 10 years younger than me. He does not have Ehlers-Danlos, but he wrestled with a methamphetamine addiction. And it got bad enough that he decided it was too painful to continue living. And we as a family found out about that. It was a surprise to all of us. We didn't know that this is something he was contemplating and that this is something he was going to act on, right? And so what I would say is there's actually a picture here between my life and my brother's life. And I'm not saying I have everything figured out, but there's something I want people to understand about their personal pain. There are people who love you and who want the best for you in your life, even if you don't know it. They don't always express it, but they're there. And what happens when you take your own life, you might end the pain for yourself, but you take that pain and throw it on everybody who loves you. And so what I learned from that experience with my brother is there was a deep anger in me toward that, because I love him. I wanted the best for him. I would have stepped in as a good big brother to him if he would have told his family and friends what he was struggling with, and he did not. He faced that alone. And what I would say is, if you're in that space, I want you to know that you're valuable, and I want you to know that even if you don't understand the love for the people around you, just speaking that and voicing that and getting help with that will help you to see that you can indeed step forward in your own pain, and that it's so much better than taking what you're wrestling with and throwing that pain on other people. And so I want you to continue, if not just for yourself, continue wrestling with that, because you don't want to do that to the people who love you.
Thank you, Alex. Now, for the individuals who are in that specific situation and the family members who know they have a challenge, but they don't know to what degree, and they perceive those individuals are depressed, what would you say to them to take a step and getting closer and let them help them get that out of their voice it out, right? Because that's they cover and they hide it for some reason instead of voice it out.
Yeah, it actually comes back to what we talked about with pain. And I'm not saying the emotional pain of suicidal ideation is the same thing as a knee scrape, but the process to wrestle with it is the same. The first thing that has to happen is acknowledging it, because that sort of thing grows more powerful in the dark. That sort of thing grows more powerful in shame. And so when I try to cover it up, or when I try to avoid it, or when I try to act like it doesn't exist, it gets bigger and stronger. And it really will take you over. It really will win. And when we acknowledge something, it doesn't go away, but we remove the capacity for it to grow more powerful. And so if I can say to my loved ones, I'm not trying to upset you. I know you probably can't understand, but there are times that I feel like it would be better if I wasn't here. There are times that I feel like my pain's too great and I just want to be done with it. There are times when I feel like I'm alone, and I might as well not keep wrestling with this anymore. When you can acknowledge that, when you can say that, and get really serious, like get specific, speak the truth. If you're wrestling with that, I almost killed myself last week. If that's where you're at, acknowledge that. That's the first step to getting rid of the power of that thing in shame, in the same way that it's the first step to dealing with pain. And when you acknowledge that, then the people in your life who care about you can actually step in and help you to wrestle with it, in the same way that I was there for my little boy when his knee got all scraped up. Like, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to get it taken care of. Look at me. You're strong. You'll be all right. And I mean, the pain doesn't go away immediately, but that's the first step to healing. And if you're wrestling with suicide, you need to take a step in the direction of healing. Acknowledging is the first step.
Excellent. Thank you. For someone who has dealt with, for many years now, with a diagnosed autoimmune condition, who never had a relationship with exercise, have found you as a coach has been inspiring. And you have definitely, like you say, I don't want to cry, but inspire me to know that my dreams can come true because I would not lose the movement in my body. And I want to acknowledge you and thank you for that.
You got it. Well, you're not here to give me a hug, so can we give like a knuckle bump or something? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for inspiring the world. And I can definitely say that when I was terrified and not to know who to believe, I had a leap of faith. I let my intuition guide me, and you have been the perfect coach. So, Alex, for those who are listening, where can they find you?
You can find all my work at Faithful Fitness. So faithfulfitnessdevo.com has my book, and it's a book because it takes 40 days to walk through that journey for sure. You can also find my work on YouTube with interviews and also solo podcasts at Faithful Fitness ORG. You can also download our app, Faithful Fitness, at faithfulfitness.co.
And just to be clear, where are you located and where are your clients?
We're located in Greenbrier, Arkansas, and my clients are all over the world. So I have the opportunity to work in person with a few people locally, but for the vast majority of my clients, I work with them virtually, and you can connect with me regardless of where you're at.
And I can definitely be certain to say that no matter how far you are, you feel really close to us because you definitely monitor everything on a daily basis. Thank you. Thank you for caring. But I'm not speaking about humanity. Thank you for caring about yourself because that's where we start, right? And putting our own mess so we can help others.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And thank you, Elena, because I'm very blessed to be in your corner and honored to be your coach. You're a hardworking person, and I'm excited to continue helping you shine your light.
Thank you. You actually, very interesting, but it's definitely have some attitude. You asked me today, are we sure we're gonna do this? Because I just fallen, right? And it brings a lot of things, a lot of charges, and my movement changes. But I want to make sure that I can continue because my mission is bigger than my life. My mission, my purpose will continue even when I'm not here in this world. Mm-hmm. And when you have someone so inspiring in your corner, you just have to go. It's just...
you can't not do it.
There's no option. Okay, two things. I have a tradition of what I call fire rapid questions. I say one or two words and you answer as quick as you can with one or two words, no stories.
Okay.
And then once we finish, but before I do that, I want to ask you, who do you perceive is a right person to be in this podcast? Someone who you know intimately or not? Someone who's famous or not?
Oh, the right person to interview with you?
Yes, correct.
Man, you ask such good questions. I'm thinking of two people. One you probably don't know of, and the other you do. There's a guy who runs the CrossFit gym down the street here in Greenbrier, Arkansas, and he's a good dude. He's been through a lot of things in his life. He's also a little softer spoken than I am. So if you really want to get to know him, you have to ask good questions and listen. But he's a great guy. His name's Jason. So he would be a perfect person to connect with on your podcast if he's willing to talk to you and if you're willing to talk to him. and
Well,
and then the second person that came to mind is I actually think you would have a very good conversation with the guy who runs the Diary of a CEO podcast. I don't know if you know him or not, but
of
but
course.
he's a genuine guy with a great accent. And between the two of you, even if I didn't know what you were saying, I'd just be happy to listen.
Thank you. I would love to. He's in my list of he's in my bucket list, and he'll be in this podcast one day.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Thank you. Thank you with that for that. I'm going to ask you the five rapid questions, and then at the end, you will have the opportunity to bring us some words of wisdom. I also want to tell. I also want to say to the listeners and to the viewers that this specific episode was about addressing challenges, but we're going to have another episode for individuals who the only challenge they have is in their mind. Because that's the biggest one, right? All right. 1, 2, 3. Health.
Fitness.
Women.
Awesome.
Suffering.
Difficult.
Social media.
Digital sugar.
AI.
A tool.
Fatherhood.
Difficult and meaningful.
Stress.
Good.
Profession.
Calling.
Mind.
Body.
Evolution.
Interesting.
Happiness.
Fleeting.
Soul.
Eternal.
Gratitude.
A discipline.
Authority.
Not me.
Leadership.
A choice.
Parents.
Honorable.
Authenticity.
Necessary.
Love language.
Words of affirmation.
Transformation.
Inevitable with hard work.
Education.
Honesty and truth.
Men.
Necessary.
Time.
Unstoppable.
Fear.
Worth facing.
Knowledge.
A gift.
Fulfillment.
Right here.
Pornography.
Digital sugar.
Society.
A project.
Connection.
Right here.
Discrimination.
Lack of love.
Spirituality.
Necessary.
God.
A good father.
Service.
Meaningful.
Music.
A gift.
Values.
Hard won.
Son. SON.
Gabriel and Bennett.
Legacy.
Gabriel and Bennett.
I love the name Gabriel, by the way, because it spells the same way in English and Spanish, and it's the name of an angel. Emotions.
Signals.
Identity.
Hard won.
Husband.
Sacrificial.
Wife.
Also sacrificial.
Empowerment.
Weight training.
Monogamy.
Also sacrificial.
Polygamy.
Sugary.
Sugary. Sugary. Lots of sugar, baby. Pleasure.
A gift.
Pain.
Also a gift.
Sex.
A very big gift.
Money.
Something to steward.
Family.
Brothers and sisters.
The physical body. The body.
Also a gift to steward.
Conversation.
Meat and potatoes.
Manhood. Yes.
Hard won.
Birthright.
Irrevocable.
Intimacy.
Necessary and worth fighting for.
Wealth.
Misunderstood.
Death.
The one thing we all have in common.
Life.
Something to make the most out of.
And last but not least, love.
God.
Thank you, Alex. It's been very inspiring to be here and having you and with your radiant self. I don't get to see of you a lot, so this is cool and inspiring. Very inspiring to have you in my corner, like I said before. And to close this episode, you have already said where we can find you. And I would love for you, please, to close this episode with some words of wisdom. So give us your wisdom.
I would actually like to close in prayer, and maybe that would be wise.
Perfect.
Father God, thank you for this day and this awesome opportunity to spend time with Elena. I pray that this conversation has been a blessing to everybody listening. And I also pray a special prayer for my friends listening who are wrestling with whether or not they are worthwhile and whether or not they can have the strength to continue. God, I pray that they would find their value in the fact that you made them on purpose, for a purpose, and then their life matters. Give them the strength and the courage they need to step forward and make the most out of one more day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, and thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for being authentic. And for being you.
I appreciate you, Elena. Thanks for the time.
And I appreciate you too. And I'll see you soon again.